Hello and welcome to Sex in the News. We are the Siegel Brothers. Tonight we'll be looking at a couple of political stories. One on the federal level, HHS announcing a prohibition on sex discrimination, including discrimination based on orientation and gender. North Dakota governor vetoing the penalizing of state colleges over abortions. We'll be looking at a research study about injecting human blood into the willy, supposedly boosting men's sex lives, and a related piece to something we discussed last week, Sex in the News, about school sports and gender. Well, welcome back, my brother.
Yes, welcome back to you, and welcome to you all. Thank you.
Our first story tonight, as I said, comes from the federal government, and this is our good news, right? Department of Health and Human Services has announced that the Office for Civil Rights will interpret and enforce prohibitions on discrimination that are based on sex to include sexual orientation and gender identity. So this is and unusual with the current content of the Supreme Court.
That's what makes, and again, everything else that's been going on, it really makes this, I think, so important. I want to read a piece from the announcement that they had just released. The Supreme Court has made clear that people have a right not to be discriminated against on the basis of sex and receive equal treatment under the law, no matter their gender identity or sexual orientation. They go on to say that fear of discrimination can lead individuals to forego care, which can have serious negative health consequences. That's something that we have seen time and time again, and especially in light of this spate of state laws that these governors, these red state governors, have been passing, denying health coverage, health treatment to not only transgender people, whether they are young or older, but allowing physicians and other healthcare professionals to deny care to people who identify as gay or lesbian.
And, when we talk about denial of care, we're not talking about folks who refuse to participate in someone's hormone treatment for transition. We're talking about...
Which is a part of it.
We're talking about broken bones.
Right.
Or cancer screenings.
That's
or,
right.
Just straight up health care, which everybody in this country is supposed to have a right to.
Exactly. So, those of you who are listening with the American Medical Association, please establish a policy that any doctor that refuses to treat somebody because they're gay, lesbian, or transgender should lose their license. This religious exemption, I'm going to, again, just call bullshit when I see bullshit. That's all it is. Because there's no religion that teaches or promotes intolerance, discrimination, injustice, and just plain meanness. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
It's just being mean. Right? So don't hide behind religion on that.
Yeah. On that same subject, go to another red state, North Dakota, where Governor Doug Burgum has only partially vetoed a bill aimed at penalizing the state's 11 colleges and universities for funneling, as they say, federal grant money to individuals or organizations that promote or perform abortions. So basically what this comes down to is all of this Republican-led legislature in North Dakota and the governor all conspiring to threaten universities that if they allow Planned Parenthood on campus for sexuality education, again, prevention education, not running out telling everybody to go get knocked up so you can have the thrill of an abortion, will be defunded. And we're talking about $2.8 million of a school's operating budget would be cut, including, this is the most outrageous part of this, the school official who signs a contract allowing a sexuality educator would also face a personal misdemeanor charge punishable by up to 30 days in jail and a $1,500 fine.
Right. Now this is
WTF.
okay. This is all targeted at Planned Parenthood. That's
Yeah.
all it is. You know, this is the same people that have been crying defund Planned Parenthood for the last 2 years, because again, this idea that when you're promoting sexual health, when you're promoting reproductive health care for both men and women, when you're promoting healthy relationships, when you're promoting healthy pregnancies and healthy births and healthy children and healthy women, the fact that one of the many things that are available to people is abortion. And if you just let them know that that is one of their options, that is a high crime in these states. So it's just plain stupidity.
Yeah.
Right? It really is. There's no other way to look at that.
And
it's just
it
plain
continues,
stupidity.
just like in the days before Roe v. Wade, when abortion was a criminal act. It perpetuates more of a tendency for women to do stupid things, like try and induce their own abortions at home, or fear, or travel out of state, or sometimes travel across 3 or 4 or 5 state lines just to find a provider. And
That's right.
take a week off of work. States that have these stupid laws that you have to go back and spend 72 hours thinking about it because it's such a serious decision. You have to be absolutely certain.
Right.
But women can get breast implants on their lunch hour. Right?
Some states are trying to make it so a woman cannot have an abortion without her husband's permission. He has to sign a consent.
And what century are we in again?
Now again, I might be a little bit better. I'm never going to be okay with that, but I might be a little better with it if those same states also had a similar provision that if in order for a guy to get a vasectomy, he needs to have his wife's permission.
Yeah.
Then at least he got some parity.
Yeah.
Right?
But,
Instead of parody.
Somehow I think women would be more willing to sign off on husbands' vasectomies than husbands signing off on women's abortions.
I think many will insist on it.
This next piece has been around for a long time. They're talking, well, as the headline reads, injecting human blood into the willy can boost men's sex lives, scientists say.
Right.
This has been around for many years. It's what is usually referred to as PRP, right?
But this is new in terms of a treatment for erectile dysfunction.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
This plasma-rich,
Right.
platelet-rich plasma.
Platelet-rich
So they take
plasma.
a guy's blood, spin it down, separate the platelets, and inject the plasma back into the tissue. This is a study on this that claims in the first trial, 7 in 10 men, it's a very, very low number, saw a major improvement in erectile function. For some, the benefits lasted at least 6 months. But we've been seeing lots of these studies, and just like the sound wave treatments or
Right.
the
I mean, there's been that gains
microvascular,
wave. Absolutely.
none of this
but
has
this is
really
but this
good
is
evidence.
this is a little different. This really is new in this idea of putting that platelet-rich plasma into the penis for erectile dysfunction. They started using this or looking at this for Peyronie's disease. Which I would say probably isn't terribly effective
there's
either.
a new drug.
There is
I
now.
forget the name of it. That's supposed to dissolve the collagen that causes.
Right.
But this,
But this is not old.
it's like that's what I said. It's been around for several years.
No, I say it's not old.
Experts think it fuels growth of blood vessels.
Right.
That's the same thing as the sound waves and the all these other techniques.
No, it isn't.
That's the claim they make.
They make that claim, but the process is very different because PRP is used for a lot of different things. It's used, and it really does seem to do that for a lot of people. But again, is it really effective? We don't know. We can't say. But the thing that concerns me the most about this, particularly this article and articles like that, is the way it's framed. Guys, do not take a syringe, pull blood out of your arm, and stick it in your dick. Don't do it. This is nothing like that. This is a medical procedure. This is done under specific medical conditions by trained medical people with real medical equipment. Right? It's not just about sticking a needle full of blood into your penis. So whether it actually works or not, don't try this at home.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that most guys would rather not hear the words penis and injection in the same sentence, but it is they're a common kind of second line treatment for ED if guys don't respond to drugs like Viagra and Cialis. The injections are pretty well tolerated, and
very effective.
Yeah,
it's just getting over the idea of putting a needle into your penis.
Those are different drugs.
Yes,
that induce an immediate erection. So let's jump to our final piece, which is an interesting kind of opposite view in a way of what we talked about last Sunday's Sex in the News with calling out Caitlyn Jenner for what we thought was a little bit hypocritical, that maybe the world's most famous transgender woman claiming that it's unfair for natal males to play sports.
Right. Which just goes to show you that you don't have to have balls to be a dick.
Right. This week's piece is about this wrestler who's fast becoming a celebrity, Mack, who's a high school champion. We'll put up a picture of Mack. And, he was featured in part of a project called the 2020 Project, where they did a special feature of 20 different 20-year-old men across America. And Mack was included among them.
Right. And by the way, I think this was done through Men's Health.
Yeah.
Right? Men's Health magazine.
Right. Men's Health. But because Mack was born female and transitioning as a young trans man, he has been forced to wrestle on the girls' team.
Right. Now again, he is a champion high school wrestler.
And for like 2 years in a row, of course, just on this rampage, winning match after match, and they talk about how the ref holds his ripped arm up in victory, and he's like, so what?
Doesn't want it.
I'm beating girls.
Right.
I would really love to see, the same way Caitlyn Jenner was claiming it's unfair that trans men, trans women have this unfair advantage because they're biologically more male. I want to see Mack kick guys' asses on the wrestling mat.
Absolutely.
And I suspect maybe there's some of that fear in this insistence that he only be allowed to wrestle on the team of people who have the same birth certificate gender that he does.
Right. And I don't hear any of those people crying about the fact that Mack has been beating up all these girls.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
Again, when you can see his picture, if you met him, if you see him, you would think nothing but that's a strong dude. That's an athlete. Right? That's an athletic man. Right? So again, to force him to only wrestle women, you want to talk about an unfair advantage.
It's the same stupidity as the bathroom bills, and again, all of these red conservative Republican southern states, I think there were 6 of them batting around bathroom bills for a couple of years now, would insist, aside from the, what we've been goofing about all these months, that we need to hire new civil servants who are genital inspectors, who have to check everyone going into a public bathroom, check their birth certificate, and check their crotch, right? But if laws like this were enforced, then someone who looks like me would be forced to go into the woman's room.
That's
if
right.
I happen to have been born female. And how is that normal, right? Who the hell wants to see me in a woman's room? But it's the way these people think.
That's
and again, it has nothing to do with understanding of gender and gender identity.
None.
It always comes back to the same most insane fear that someone who's sexually weird must be a pervert of some kind and therefore is dangerous. So if you let these weirdo trans women in the women's room, surely they'll be there only to molest kids,
Well,
little
because
girls.
again, they don't
and
understand transgender is not just a guy in a dress.
that's not,
You know, it's again that Randy Savage,
Yeah,
episode of
right.
South Park. I'm going to put on a dress and I'm going to go beat me up some women.
right.
No, that's not transgender. Right? And then the point that I made last week as well, that, Caitlyn Jenner really should keep her fucking mouth shut about this stuff because she does not represent. Right? When you transition that late in your life, there's a whole lot more maleness that's going to stay in you than these people who are talking about at young ages, who are living, who are trying to develop into who they are. Mm-hmm. Right? So again, apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Right? Completely different
A
issues.
20-year-old kid is not a former 50-year-old Olympic champion.
Lifelong athlete,
Yeah.
right? Who in his 50s transitions.
No.
Right? So,
No.
craziness. Okay, to end the show, we have a piece that we like to call Poetic Justice. Mm-hmm. Right? This is our chance to call out hypocrisy, particularly sexual hypocrisy, whenever we see it. We've kind of had a run of political guys, big figureheads, governors,
Law
some
enforcement.
senators, law enforcement people, but we have a treat for you tonight.
Yes.
Because we don't have the same kind of guy that we're going to be talking about tonight. We have a little different picture to portray.
Yes, we are going to call out for hypocrisy a young, now 20-year-old TikTok user, right, named Kate Haralson or Haralson, who made a big to-do and a big exclusive on page 6 this week, calling out Matthew Perry for engaging her in conversation on this dating app called Raya.
Right. And where she actually had the nerve to say that she's doing this, or she did this. Right? This is at least in the beginning of this article, that she did this because she wanted to expose how older men in Hollywood are, quote, taking advantage of younger women on dating apps. Right? Now, sounds awfully predatory.
Yeah.
Right? Really does.
And most people nowadays, especially in a post-Me Too world, would probably say a 51-year-old guy hitting on a 19-year-old, asking her to leave this dating app and go on FaceTime is predatory. Right? But what's the background here?
Okay, well, first of all, this is on an app called Raya, which bills itself as a very elite dating app. What I heard a term for it?
Hollywood Tinder?
Hollywood Tinder, or the Illuminati Tinder is a phrase that I heard related to that as well. But this is a very, very exclusive app. In fact, what I read is that they have an 8% acceptance rate. That everybody that applies, it's a private membership app, very, very selective, and it is geared toward people in the entertainment industry, actors, and what they call the creative types. Right? Now, there's no accidentally going on this site. You cannot inadvertently meet up with somebody there. Right? It's very intentional, very deliberate. It's a really high sign of status for a lot of people, I guess, in the dating app world, to be accepted by Raya. So again, this is somebody who knew what she was doing. Right? Now, she was 19 years old at the time. Right? This took place last year, and she was on this app. Right? She matched with Matthew Perry, the actor, who was 51.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how those algorithms work, how people get matched.
Well, but it's not a match. It works just like Tinder.
So
right?
you're swiping.
You're swiping. You're choosing.
That's a
it's
match.
all right. But
so
it's,
if you both swipe right on each other, that's
right,
a match.
That's a match. Okay.
It's not like she was saying I'm looking for 50-year-olds and he was saying I'm looking for 19-year-olds.
Or it's not even like I'm out here looking for what I want and this guy just sort of came at me like that.
Yeah.
No, she instigated this. You know, she even said that I don't normally, I don't really, have any interest in older men, but I thought this would be fun to contact him.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, she really did make this happen. Right? And they had a FaceTime conversation. Right? They spoke off of the app, and as she says herself, there was not a sexual thing anywhere near their conversation. There was nothing sexual about it. But she thought about it, and it made her feel uncomfortable that she talked to him.
That's the world we're living in now.
That, and that's really the part that I have the whole problem with that. She set it up. She instigated it. She made it happen. So how can she now cry victim? And what I resent her for more than anything else is that she's making me sound like a lot of these people out there that I can't stand when they say this stuff. All right? Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a valid point that we really have to, I think, take a little bit more seriously. Mm-hmm. All right? So, you're not a victim, Kate. I'm sorry. And how can you malign somebody? Right? Again, a 50-year-old wanting to hook up with a 19-year-old, that's news. Right? That's never happened before. All right? So, if that's not your thing, then don't go there. Right? Don't respond. 51 years old. Ooh, that's my dad's age. Swipe left, or whatever direction is no. I have no idea. But don't now go and make this public play. You have to drag somebody else's name through the mud. You get to play the victim. You get your 15 minutes of fame. But remember, you're on the same app. You work just as hard to get on there. Probably harder because you're not a celebrity.
Yeah, but if you saw her picture, it reminds me of, the ropes outside Studio 54, where people are standing there for hours begging to get in, but the hot chicks just get walked right through, right? Mm-hmm. Ropes open up. Hot chicks always welcome.
That's right.
She's pretty smoking.
So, yes, okay. So again, why is she surprised that an older guy is interested in her? Right? So again, that's really, to me, the biggest disconnect in all of this. Right? There's nothing, she's not a victim, he's not a predator, he did nothing wrong, and as far as I'm concerned, she owes him a big apology.
Yeah. So Kate Haralson, we're calling you out for this week's Poetic Justice.
Indeed, and you get our traditional salute.
See you next week on Sunday for more Sex in the News.
Thanks for watching.